Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities there may be today. You're going to see my strategy and my analysis, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. So we're starting off here on the daily. We have EU on the top, DXY on the bottom. What is the daily showing us? Well, yesterday, as expected, we had another bearish day, finally bringing us down into this daily order block. So it looks like that possible pullback here is complete. We've come right back down to the discount of our leg, right down to this unmitigated POI, which is now mitigated, right? And we'll possibly find some support here. So in my mind now, after all this bearish pressure for the last 2 weeks, I have to look out for possible support. There's nothing saying we can't pull it down a bit deeper. There may be a lower time frame POI that we might need to go a bit further down and mitigate or take some sell side liquidity below previous daily lows, right? But from that point onwards, I would be cautious about my shorts. DXY still has some room as well to mitigate this POI a bit more. There's also a weekly imbalance there as well, so it might run a bit deeper. So we do still have room, of course, if we still have signals for shorts, right? At least at the time being. But once all the lower time frames as well look mitigated, I'll be very cautious of this area to go short. So it may take a few days to establish a new trend, or if we're not going to find support here, so I can eliminate that negative in my mind anyway. So in terms of today, we have previous daily high, previous daily low on both DXY and EU still intact. We've started off bullish today, though at the moment, we're now retreating from this area, so there may be a lower time frame POI we've now mitigated to continue going lower possibly. So I think that's enough for the daily. It is a Friday as well, right? So I prefer to get any move done in the London session because the New York sessions can tend to be a bit boring on a Friday where the market's wrapping up. So let's go down to the 4 hour. Let's see what that looks like. So just to start out zoomed out for a minute, here on the 4 hour, like I was saying on the daily, we have mitigated this daily POI, the daily order block, but like I said, we have 4 hour imbalances a bit below. Price may just want to pull down a little bit deeper into this, right? So we may still be able to target that. Our trend and our structure is still lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, right? So we're mitigating POIs. I'll zoom in a moment and it may send price lower. DXY, as I mentioned, right, also has more of a gap to fill here on the lower time frame. It may or may not, but we've only barely scraped into this daily POI. Now zooming in here closer to today's price action, what we can see is that we've overnight and into Asia pulled back with fairly corrective candles to a 4 hour imbalance. Okay, so we left behind this 4 hour imbalance yesterday and price has come back and mitigated that near perfect to 100%, I believe. And as you can see, since mitigating this area, coming above this buy side liquidity of these old 4 hour highs and filling this gap, we have actually switched to bearish so far. There still is an hour and a half left of this candle, but it's currently a high test, which looks good coming from this POI that possibly is going to hold as a resistance. Now, as you can see within this same leg, we do have this partially mitigated imbalance here with an order block above. So there's no saying that price may not visit that at some point. But today, the first thing in London that I'm looking at is this POI here that may be getting rejected, right, to push us lower down into this order block here. And if we look at our inverse DXY, we actually had a 4 hour order block here with imbalance that we have also just filled today. So POI here as support, POI here as resistance, right? And so far, it's showing as resistance because it's pushed us a bit lower in price after a bullish engulfing candle that was very bullish too until it met this resistance. So for me on the 4 hour, in terms of bias, we have a possible bearish bias because we have possible resistance here, at least for London at the time being, right? And support here. I don't think there's loads more to discuss here on the 4 hour, so I'm not going to waste time. Let's go down to the 1 hour, see what that looks like. So the 1 hour structure is beautiful right now. I think it's very clear. Let's discuss it. We have our 1 hour leg, which for me is from this high to this low. This high that swept buy side liquidity of that overnight, evening and Asia range, took the buy side liquidity, broke down, creating a lower low. So this high to this low, so this is our discount, this is our premium. We did the same thing here on DXY, swept below these lows, broke up to create a higher high, and that's when we entered our POIs on the daily. Now a couple things to discuss and bear in mind. This is our 4-hour imbalance, okay, that we have filled. That may send price lower. However, just above it, on the 1 hour, the imbalance is much larger. So it may draw price deeper into that premium. We have a 1 hour order block as well that's unmitigated. So those are the negatives of shorting right now, I would say, is that we have draws on price above, more into the premium that could be rejected. So that's how I'm reading that. But price does seem to be, at least in the last half an hour, breaking down quite bearishly. So we'll see how that closes and how that ends. All right, same over here on DXY. We have our bullish leg. We've pulled back obviously overnight and the evening fairly correctively, leaving what would look like a trend line on the lower time frame. Trend line of sell side liquidity here as well. We've mitigated partially this 1 hour imbalance with order block, right? So it's gone into its order block. We can see that DXY reacted bullish from there. So there's the possibility of this being support on the 1 hour as well, and this being resistance on the 1 hour as well. So my bias agrees with the 4 hour because we have that bearish 1 hour leg. If we respect this as resistance, this becomes a weak low, right? So a high creates a low. We pull back, we don't take out the high from this low here, the sell side liquidity. So it makes the low weak and the sell side liquidity target. So that's how I read it, and we've got a nice trend line to make our way all the way down to this. My only negative at the moment, as I said, is we've left behind this price draw. So that's the only thing on my mind, that it would have been nice, at least at the moment, for price to pull up into that. And New York may do that. New York may cause some sort of reversal. I don't know. But I would have preferred us to mitigate this morning and then break down. So it'll be interesting to see what this breakdown looks like on the lower time frame on the M15. But other than that, I think the 1 hour is very clear. As we've noted, there are POIs above here in the leg, right, a bit further up. But right now we're working within this leg. As long as it respects this, I have no worry about this at the moment. But it's something that is also a draw on price, just to be aware of, like we have down here as well. If price respects this zone and breaks down on a lower time frame properly, then I'll be good to go with this. But we have that negative above. Okay, so bearish bias, looking for shorts as long as the lower time frame breaks down properly. But I would prefer if we mitigated this, even if it was just halfway. Okay, so with that said, let's go down to the M15. Let's see what an opportunity for today may look like. Right, so here we are on the M15. Our M15 external leg is the same as the 1 hour. So from this high here to this low. So on the M15, where it swept that buy side liquidity and broke down here, all of this is just internal order flow to this external leg. So externally it's bearish, internally it's switched bullish now because we had this high, higher low, higher high, higher low, all that overnight price action to create a higher high. Okay, so, or you could say this higher low here to higher high. So we may continue that up into this zone here where this price draw is. So a few things to note. Of course, right at the top of this leg we have an M15 bearish order block, okay, which looks nice. It's swept liquidity and that's where price broke down from on news or whatever it was. It would be a good place to either execute from or wait for price to switch from. Now London is obviously not making its way up there at the moment. We mitigated that 4 hour fair value gap here and have been a bit bearish since. You could see there might even be a break of structure here. However, I don't see the momentum I'm looking for. I don't see the imbalance here. So even on the 5 minute, it's probably not going to look great. So these candles are really small, right? The mitigation of liquidity, buy side liquidity above here didn't cause that obvious breakdown. So for me, this is not yet looking good to go short, right? This structure here as well, it's a bit suspect to go short from for me personally. It looks more like the leg is here. So if we create some structure now and come back up to this area here, it would probably look better. So I don't know if we're going to reach all the way up into this M15 order block here, but what I'd be looking for an opportunity today would be for price to maybe come up here, maybe create another high low, and then we reach up into this 1 hour POI here, right, an order block, and then break down from there. So it'd be great to see a breakdown from the higher time frame order block above, take the buy side liquidity above this current London high, maybe get those early sellers stop losses, and then we can pull back to our lower time frame M15 order block with imbalance, right, because I want to see momentum come into the market from there, and then we can continue our shorts following this trend line here with all this sell side liquidity low here, 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 and ultimately up to here too. So we have that trend line there being created, and as long as this shows as resistance and then we get a nice break of structure, say around here, you know, buy side liquidity from above these highs here, don't have to draw it in, high time frame POI here, obviously rejected, leaving behind an order block up here with a fair value gap here somewhere, and then we may pull back correctively, leaving some inducement, which is buy side liquidity, to be taken out for our order block here, where we would set our order, stop loss just above the high, targeting wherever you target. Mine would be 3%, but towards those lows. So this is what I would prefer. I don't like the way this is breaking down. It's not breaking down with enough momentum, right? We might mitigate this zone here and continue upwards, we'll see. But as long as we get this pullback into this zone here, reject it, leaving behind like a nice high test sweep candle preferably, and order block with imbalance, then we pull back to that to then continue short. So something that looks like this is what I'd be looking for continuation of shorts down to this possible weak low here today. And we would expect the same here, of course, on DXY. Pull down below our low here, take that sell side liquidity, mitigate this 1 hour POI more, and then a nice sharp break of structure above this high here, and then we can pull back to our lower time frame POI to go higher. Now obviously any unmitigated POI like this M15 order block would be a negative for this trade, because when it pulls back, possibly it's going to head up there. But that's why we wait for this breakdown here to look good and give us a signal that price is ready to continue going short possibly. And the M15 has switched structure again to go in that direction, which is our early indication of the 1 hour switch in direction as well to go short. So I hope that was clear. I hope you gained value from that. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.